There's a big difference between being the older guy who turns heads and the one who makes women cringe inwardly. You've seen both. There's the silver-haired man at the bar.com and self-assured effortlessly pulling younger women into his space, and then there's the other kind. The guy who tries way too hard. The one completely unaware he's embarrassing himself. This has nothing to do with looks, it never really does. It's about your presence, your energy, your self-awareness. Because nothing kills attraction faster for a younger woman than an older guy pretending to be what he thinks she wants, instead of simply being who he actually is. So if you've ever noticed younger women showing interest initially, only to back off soon after, chances are you're making one of these 7 mistakes. And the worst part, you may not even know you're doing it. Let's dive in. Nothing pushes a younger woman away faster than an older man clinging desperately to his youth. You've seen the type sneakers designed for teenagers, outdated slang, references to TikTok trends he doesn't really understand. You're not 25 anymore, and that's not a problem. In fact, it's your advantage. Younger women aren't drawn to older men because they want another 25-year-old. They're looking for what younger guys often lack: stability, depth, experience, and someone who knows exactly who he is. But when you imitate youth, you lose the essence that makes you desirable in the first place. Picture this. A guy in his 40s walks into a bar wearing a backward cap, an oversized hoodie, sneakers that cost more than his rent, saying things like, "No cap or F for real." It doesn't come off as young, just awkward and off. Sean Connery was still turning heads in his 60s, not by faking youth, but by embracing his age with class. A man who owns his age gets respect. One who fights it comes off as insecure. How you do it right? Want to be more attractive as an older man? Don't chase youth. Aim to be better. Skip trends. Master timeless style. Forget Gen Z slang. Articulate your thoughts clearly. Strong, well-spoken words beat trendy every time. Don't chase youth culture. Build a space of your own and let others be drawn to it. At the end of the day, younger women don't want a man still searching for his identity. They want someone who knows exactly who he is. Let's be honest. Money is attractive. It signals success, confidence, and capability. But the second you start flashing it to impress, it becomes a repellent. Younger women aren't turned off by older men having money. They're turned off when it's all he seems to offer. There's a difference between being a man with wealth and being a man who uses wealth to mask insecurity. And trust me, they can tell. Imagine this. A guy in his late 40s is on a date with a younger woman. Within 10 minutes he's named restaurants, talking about his Porsche and the price of his watch. She smiles politely, but inside, she's checked out. She's not seeing confidence. She's seeing a man begging to impress. Real success doesn't need to speak loudly. It shows in how you carry yourself, your choices, your lifestyle. A man who constantly proves he's rich usually isn't as secure as he wants to appear. Few things turn off younger women more than an older guy who sounds bitter about dating today. You know, the type always complaining about how entitled women are now, how things were different back in the day, or how social media has ruined everything. Some of it may have some truth. The world has changed. But when you rant about it, you just sound like the guy yelling about how music peaked in the 80s. Not wise, just old. Here's the problem. When you complain about women, you reveal 3 things. 1. You feel powerless. 2. You're holding on to resentment. 3. You blame instead of adapt. Nothing is less attractive than a man who won't evolve. Younger women aren't turned off by your age, they're turned off by your attitude. There's a saying, the more tightly you hold something, the faster it slips away. Nowhere is that more true than in relationships. Younger women don't mind older men, they do mind being treated like property. A confident man makes her feel wanted. A controlling one makes her feel trapped. At first it might seem like caring. Text me when you get there. Who are you going out with? You're wearing that. But over time, it becomes control. Why didn't you answer? I don't trust those friends. I don't like you around other guys. What starts as attraction quickly turns into suffocation. And no woman, especially not a younger one, wants to feel caged. How do men fall into this? Usually, it's past pain, a brutal breakup, getting blindsided, being left for someone younger, seeing the competition grow, and instead of trusting they're enough, they start guarding. But here's the harsh truth. Control doesn't keep her, it drives her away. One of the quickest ways older men lose attraction, they go from confident to condescending, often without realizing it. They assume that because they have more experience, they have the right to constantly explain, correct, and educate. Nothing dries up chemistry faster. Imagine a younger woman excitedly sharing something she just learned. Maybe it's from a book, a class, or something she's passionate about. Now watch the wrong kind of man respond. That's cute. Oh, I knew that already. Trust me, you don't really get it yet. Even if he doesn't mean it that way, it feels belittling. Why it fails? Women, especially younger ones, don't want a professor. They want a partner. You can either be the older man who makes her feel dumb, or the one who makes her feel inspired. Only one keeps her interest. Let's be blunt. Attraction is visual. You can be smart, charming, successful, but if you look like you just rolled out of bed, you're at a disadvantage. A lot of older men stop caring how they look. They tell themselves they're too old for fashion, or that if a woman likes them, it should be for who they are. But here's the truth. If you don't take care of yourself, it shows, and she notices. You don't need to dress like a 25-year-old influencer, but if your style says, "I've given up," she'll feel the same about being with you. Why this happens? Maybe he was in a long-term relationship where he didn't have to try. Maybe he thinks his success makes up for it. Or maybe he just got too comfortable. But comfort kills attraction. If a woman sees you putting zero effort into yourself, she starts to wonder how much effort would you put into her. Want to know the difference between old and distinguished? Look at guys like Clooney, Elba, Brosnan. They're not trying to look young, they're just showing and that's magnetic. One of the worst habits older men fall into is assuming they're the smartest person in the room. They've lived longer, seen more, and they let everyone know it. But women aren't looking for a professor. They want a partner. Picture this. She's sharing something she's passionate about. A project, a hobby, a dream. Now one man listens, engages, encourages. The other interrupts, corrects, and explains how it really works. To him, he's being helpful. To her, he's being patronizing. When you constantly correct or dismiss her ideas, the message you're sending is clear. I don't respect your mind. And that is one of the quickest ways to kill connection. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being an older man dating a younger woman. Done right, it can be one of the most exciting and meaningful relationships you'll ever have. But if you slip into these behaviors, if you're insecure, controlling, condescending, or you've stopped trying, you're setting yourself up to fail. You don't need youth to be attractive. You just need to value yourself. Be the man who listens instead of lectures, who gives space instead of suffocating, who sharpens himself instead of giving up. And when you do, it won't matter. Whether you're 40, 50, or 60, women will still be drawn to you.